Hey up. Today I wanted to take a look at a film that I have been itching to watch for quite some time. An 80s J-horror, but not just any old J-horror. This one has elements of slasher, giallo, supernatural and body horror. It's a real feast of Eastern craziness, you could say. We're taking a look at 1988's Evil Dead Trap. This was directed by Toshiharu Ikeda, who had mostly directed a bunch of Pink films before doing this. Ikeda was also one of the founders of the Directors Company, which was like a small production company in Japan that allowed like smaller up-and-coming creators a chance to make something pretty decent for themselves, and some good stuff came out of it. It had a good 10-year run and declared bankruptcy in '92. Evil Dead Trap might be one of the most famous ones from it anyway. It's probably the one that I've heard of the most that the Directors Company put out. And you know what? I've never seen it. I have never seen it. A little story though. A good few years ago now, you must be talking like way over 10 years ago, I went to CEX and found a copy of it on DVD. Brought it home, tried to watch it, and it wouldn't work. Now, it turns out that CEX had sold me an NTSC-J DVD, and I didn't have a multi-region player at the time, so I had no way of watching it. So I had to take it back, and they did not believe that I'd bought an NTSC-J DVD from them. They thought I was trying to get one over them. It was like £3. I don't know why they were arguing £3, really. But I ended up taking it back, and I still haven't seen it. That is until 88 Films put it out on lovely Blu-ray as part of their Japanarchy series of films. So I finally get to see it, and it's on nice Blu-ray with nice new subtitles and such. So let's see what I've been missing all these years. The film starts out pretty simply. We follow Name, who hosts a TV show that's whole idea is people send in videotapes of them doing stuff. She receives a snuff film though, and there's a bit of gore in this involving an eye that feels straight out of a Fulci film. So she gathers a crew together and heads to the location she thinks the tape was filmed at, because she's trying to do a little bit of snooping for the TV show. And it turns out the killer is still knocking about, so things go about how you'd expect. The crew gets picked off one by one in elaborate saw-like death traps until only Name is left. Oh, there's also this aloof dude hanging around as well. He's looking for his little brother. So Name and this guy end up teaming up. So now the two are skulking around an abandoned factory and trying to take out the hooded killer. Oh yeah, and this guy is like talking to a ghost or something. Some supernatural stuff is going down. I want to point out as well just how nice this film looks and how cool the cinematography is in it. It feels like something straight out of an Argento film with the use of colours and off-kilter angles. It also uses wide so well. It's a really cool film to look at, and it's full of personality. The music as well is almost sort of giallo-like. It's very Japanese, but there's like a synthy side to it as well, and it's great. Okay, there's going to be spoilers from this point on. I wasn't going to talk about the ending to this film, because I do want people to go and watch it, but so much crazy stuff happens that I can't not. So, if you haven't seen the film and you're wanting to watch it, skip to the time that's on screen right now. You have been warned. Watch this film blind, it's better seen blind. But I am going to talk about the ending. You've been warned, and we're going to carry on. So after about an hour and 20 minutes of slowly wandering around an abandoned factory, we finally get the big reveal. And it's kind of obvious, really. It turns out it was this dude, who's called Daisuke, by the way. It was him all along. Of course it was. Who else was it going to be? There's nobody else around. But that's not all. Then he starts talking to his little brother. And I thought, ooh, maybe the supernatural stuff's coming back and it's going to be some sort of ghost or possession or something. Not quite. Not quite. It's a little weirder than that. So, this little meat baby bursts out of Daisuke's chest, and this is the little brother called Hideki. And just look at this thing. Look at it. It's amazing. It's crazy. It bursts out and it starts attacking Name, and it's got an umbilical cord, and it breathes fire, and then it like explodes. There's so many explosions at the end of this film. It is crazy. Then the charred body comes back and attacks before eventually turning into ash. And then, when you think it's all over, the baby comes back for one more sequel baity type ending. What an ending. This film does a lot of stuff that I really like. The TV and VHS aesthetic that's around for quite a lot of this. It's interesting because that wasn't retro at the time that this was being made. It was quite current, but nowadays it does have more of a retro aesthetic to it, and it is really cool, and I really like it. It's good. It's really good. Also, the gore is really good. It's not wall-to-wall gore, you know, it's not going to blow your head off with the amount of gore that is in this, but the stuff that we do get is excellent, and it's quite big as well when it does happen. The eye scene in particular, which is very early on, yeah, that made me squirm. There's some really good moments. The traps are good as well. Whenever they pop up, they're a lot of fun. They're very over the top and crazy, but yeah, a lot of fun to watch. Most of the time though, this film is quite a slow burner. It's a lot of creeping around these interesting environments with like some synthy music in the background, and it builds sort of a tense, mysterious atmosphere that works really well. Now, I'd be very surprised if this wasn't in some way inspired by 70s Italian films, especially films like Fulci's films or Argento's films, stuff like that, because it does have a lot of what makes those films great present, which is good to see. I like it. And then you also get the nudity, of course, and there's an uncomfortable rape scene. It's got to have its sleaze. And again, it feels more like one of the 70s Italian films. But also, on the other hand, you've got to remember that Ikeda was part of like making Pink films, and apparently a lot of the actors in this are Pink film actors. So, you know, it probably just comes with the territory, I guess. It's all fun though. It all adds to the vibe of the film, which I quite like. No, yeah, I had a really good time watching this. If I was to criticise it, I'd say that its 100-minute runtime is maybe a little excessive. I think this would be like a really good 90-minute film. It is a really good film. It is a really good film at 100 minutes, but you could probably tighten it up just a little bit. But it's a minor nitpick, that, and yeah, it doesn't hinder the film really in any way. It's definitely a low-budget film, and it doesn't really matter that, to be honest. It still manages to get in some really cool cinematography and some really cool music and some fun set pieces. It doesn't hinder it in any way. If anything, it just adds this little charm to it as well, which I quite like. So yeah, Evil Dead Trap, really, really good. And the 88 films print is pretty decent as well. But 88 films didn't just release this, did they? Oh, no, no, no. They also put the sequel out, which of course I went and bought. And I'm curious, how can you make a sequel to Evil Dead Trap? Well, while we're here, let's have a look, shall we? Evil Dead Trap 2, Hideki. This is pretty much a sequel in name only, which is something we'll be talking about a little more later on. This is from 1992, 4 years after the original, and directed and written by a guy called Izo Hashimoto, whose biggest claim to fame is probably that he was one of the screenwriters on Akira. Pretty good though. So let's see what this one's all about, shall we? We have three main characters in this film. There is Aki, Emi, and Kurahashi. We'll start with Emi. So she is like an ex-singer who's turned into a TV presenter, and she's sort of fallen out of the limelight a little bit. And she is sleeping with Kurahashi, who's married but is still a bit of a womanizer. And then there's Aki, who is the main lead of the three, and she's an antisocial projectionist. Emi can be quite mean to Aki. She judges her lifestyle quite a lot and says quite cutting comments to her. And then I said that Emi and Kurahashi are sleeping together, but Kurahashi really wants to hook up with Aki as well. but Aki's having none of it. She's not really in the market for a boyfriend or anything like that. And that's kind of the dynamic we have with our three leads. Aki is haunted by a little boy ghost called Hideki. Now you may remember that Hideki was the name of the little boy in the first film that we looked at, and that is probably the strongest connection these two films have to each other. There's also a murderer on the loose who goes around gutting women. Emi is reporting on these stories quite frequently, and Aki seems in some way linked. It seems that Aki is living the way that she does through some sort of depression that was brought on by an abortion that she had, and this leads into who Hideki is as a ghost. Apparently it is the ghost of the child that she got rid of. While it doesn't quite reach the giallo and Italian horror heights of the first film, it's not without its moments. The use of colours pops up every now and again, and there's some pretty cool camera angles used. I really like how it uses wide shots, and then you mix this in with the use of like these the big neon Japanese signs, the big billboards that light up. I really like how it uses that as like a backdrop. Something about the scale of it just looks really cool. It's a much more frantic film than the first one as well. There's just constantly stuff going off, and it just has a different vibe entirely, really. Not a bad thing, though, at all. Okay, spoilers again for this film. If you are planning on watching this, then skip to the time that is on screen right now so you don't get the ending spoiled. And I am also going to be talking about the ending to the first film again, so again, if you don't want either film spoiled, skip to the time that is on screen right now. You've been warned? Okay? Okay, we're good. Let's go. It all ramps up until we find out that Emi is pregnant with Kurahashi's baby. But it's not a normal pregnancy. You see, Kurahashi has tried to have kids with his wife before, and it's never worked out. His wife's got a bit crazy, and Hideki, the little boy ghost, has been haunting them and is now possessing Kurahashi. So, Emi is pregnant with Hideki, who is like, or some sort of Hideki baby, and Kurahashi is Hideki. He's possessed by Hideki, and they're all attacking Aki. So Aki fights back, we get some really cool gory moments, and it all culminates in this crazy what the fuck moment where a big Kurahashi head bursts out of Emi's stomach. So you could see this as a similarity with the first film, these big crazy endings, and while it isn't quite as explosive as that first one, it's still entertaining to watch. The film ends with Aki in an insane asylum, being confronted by the ghost of Hideki. While it may not hit the exact same notes as the first film, it's still a really good watch, and if anything, it's probably hindered by being lumped in with the first Evil Dead trap, because they are just different beasts entirely. It does some really good stuff still with the story and the characters. The gore is excellent again. Some really standout moments like the bath scene and the arm being broken. There's the use of TVs, so there's a similar aesthetic sometimes. And there's even some sleazy moments with some nudity and some rape scenes, you know, just for good measure. Why not? There's definitely some loose connections, I'd say. But I wouldn't watch it as a direct sequel to Evil Dead Trap. Watch it as its own thing, and it is worth doing for that alone, I'd say. There's definitely some major differences as well. The music is a little less Goblin-esque, you know, it's kind of a bit more generic, unfortunately, but it doesn't have that sort of synthiness, or as much anyway. And some of the camera angles are a little, you know, they're not as fun and wacky. They're a lot more standard, I'd say. Not to say that it doesn't look good. It still looks really good. It's way less Argento, I'd say. Although the gore is still quite a little bit fulshy, which is never a bad thing. The runtime is 98 minutes, so it's very close in time to the first film, and I'd say that it works fine with the runtime, honestly. A lot is happening in this film, and it really keeps its pace, so it doesn't overstay its welcome in any way. So, yeah, not too bad with the runtime. And the print as well. The print for 88 films is decent once again. Looks really good. Really nice, yeah. So that's Evil Dead Trap 2. Let's wrap this video up, shall we? Okay then, so overall with Evil Dead Trap 1 and 2, I had a really good time. I really enjoyed myself with both of these films. They are both really good films. I definitely recommend the first film to fans of J-horror and Italian horror, because it definitely ticks boxes in both those areas, and yeah, it's just really solid. And then I'd recommend the second film as well to fans of just J-horror. You don't need to see the first one first or anything like that. They don't really interconnect at all. And they're both really good. They're both worth your time, I'd say. I think I preferred the first film slightly more than the second. It just ticked a few more boxes for me, I think. But they're both solid, and I'll definitely be revisiting them both in the future at some point. Now, I know the comments are probably going, well, what about the third one? There is a third film. There is a third film. And I know that the second film is Evil Dead Trap in name only, but this third one really is Evil Dead Trap in name only. It's called something completely different in Japan, and it just had Evil Dead Trap 3 slapped on it and released over here. And I think it's because it's directed by Ikeda again. So they're just like, oh yeah, it's just a third Evil Dead Trap. Apparently it's got nothing to do with it at all. So much so that 88 Films didn't even bother putting that out with the other two. I mean, I am curious to watch it at some point. Whether I'll do a video, I don't know. If you want to see me talk about the third Evil Dead Trap, just let me know and I'll happily do it. But I'm not in a rush to make a video just off my own back on that, I don't think. I also want to mention as well that I think that these films specifically did pretty well in the West because of the naming. It's kind of crafty and kind of like genius in a way. Putting Evil Dead, calling your film Evil Dead something, like, that's how I found out about these as a kid. I remember I was researching Evil Dead as a teenager and Evil Dead Trap came up. I was like, ooh, what's that? And I looked it up and it's like, oh, it's gory and it's a horror film. I think it was kind of genius that they did that, to be honest. It's definitely how I found out about it, and I'm guessing it's how a lot of people found out about it. There was I think there was a DVD release over here, like back in the late 90s, early noughties, and I can imagine people picked this film up just because it had Evil Dead on it. It's pretty clever. It's pretty cool. It's interesting as well because these are both from like, well, 80s and then 90s. So it's before that J-horror boom that happened in the noughties. And that was definitely more supernatural based, whereas these are definitely more gore based, which is very 70s, 80s, 90s was definitely gore, and then the supernatural stuff was definitely kicking around in the 2000s. So that's interesting to see as well. I'm just really glad that these two have actually got nice releases finally, and that they're easily accessible and look good with good subtitles and all that. So, thank you very much for watching. That is my discussion on Evil Dead Trap 1 and 2, films I've been dying to get to for a very long time, and I'm very glad that I managed to, and I get to share it with you guys, which is fun. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and let me know what you think to this type of video. Let me know if you want me to cover more J-horror films. I'm a big fan of J-horror, so I'm always happy to cover those. Or just any recommendations you've got, shove them in the comments. I've been making a list of what people have been recommending. I do read them all, don't worry. So there's a list of recommendations, and I'll be starting to pick through some of those in the new year, I think. So if you've recommended something I've not done it just yet, don't worry. It's in the list. I'm getting there. I will get to it. Also, I want to thank the patrons and members that are on screen right now. Your support is paramount to this channel making more videos, and yeah, thank you so much. It really does help. And if you are interested in supporting my channel, there is also a link down at the bottom there as well, and you can follow that through, and yeah, there's some perks in it for you and stuff like that as well. So thanks again, and I will see you in the next video.